Hi guys, this is gsno.com and I'm here with the review of the Google Pixel 8 Pro. Finally, we've done it, and this is happening after quite a while of testing. I'm talking about 2 weeks. So here we have it. It's the AI phone, as I call it, and I've shown you some AI features in the unboxing. The price is $800 for the Pixel 8 Pro in the version we have here. So it's supposed to be a top 5 flagship this year on account of the camera particularly, and also on account of the, well, AI features which it has to offer. At the same time, it has this unique visor design, some HTC elements inherited, and it's an Android 14 flagship. It's got IP68 certification, it's got 5x optical zoom, it does have 5G this time without a problem in some countries in Europe, like it happened with the Pixel 7 Pro. Okay, so let's get started, but before that I should also mention that there's a Tensor CPU inside, which you're not going to see anywhere else. The design, first and foremost. As you can see here, we have the gray version with a matte back, and there are also other versions like blue or beige. It's an IP68 certified device, which means it can take dust and water. It can be waterproof up to 1.5 meters, being dunked for 30 minutes. It's quite thick at 8.8 millimeters and weighs a hefty 213 grams. It's still pretty easy to wield and rotate with a single hand. At the same time, you should have a bigger hand than mine for that. As you can see, I find it hard to reach the top part of the screen with this finger here. The button placement was a bit hard for me at first when it comes to pressing the power and volume buttons, but I got accustomed to it. It's got a quality build, it's got Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection at the back side, glass at the back, and an aluminum frame here. There's also glass at the front side with Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection again. Very well built and very good looking, and this visor gives it an extra touch of personality, and you can put your finger here, you can prop it here, so you can actually use it better and comfier. Definitely well built and an interesting way of both curving the sides and keeping them flat towards the edge to get a better grip on the device. By the way, grip is fine, just so you know. And the screen is flat, which should help gamers. And the roundness of the back helps you with it fitting in your palm. So I'm pretty happy with the design. So let's talk about the display now. Okay, so let's talk about the screen. I'm going to use this video here as an example, and let's check it out. So we have a quality panel, one of the best qualities around, actually the brightest panel ever seen. It's a 6.7-inch LTPO OLED panel with symmetrical bezels. The predecessor had an AMOLED panel. It's got 120 Hz refresh rate, HDR10+, but no Dolby Vision. It's got wide view angles, as you can see for yourself, an exquisite brightness, a huge brightness, perhaps the most I've ever seen. The resolution has decreased from last year, something like 2192 or over 1344 pixels, so yeah, there's that. Satisfying color palette, deep blacks, pure whites, and excellent contrast in full sunlight. Now, if you go here, you're going to see that it's the top of the list when it comes to the brightness measurement, with a huge 1721 lux, beating all the other models below it, like the Galaxy Z Flip 5 and its 1287, and the Honor Magic 5 Pro with its 1192. The predecessor was stuck at 750 lux, quite the evolution. Now, if you go further, we are treated to the CPU, Google Tensor G3 4nm Nona core, basically a rebranded Exynos, if you will, and it's got no lag, it's got no overheating, but it does have some serious throttling, which you're going to see here. So yeah, we go to the library, the screenshots, and here's the throttle problem. As you can see in the throttle test, it drops after a few minutes and loses about 34% of the performance. Also, it doesn't fare nicely in the benchmarks. I mean, it does fine, but definitely not a record breaker. 11th spot in Antutu 10, just beating Honor 90 and OnePlus Nord 3, staying below Nothing Phone 2 and iPhone 15, while in Geekbench 6, in the single core, we're above Nothing Phone 2, in the multi-core, we're just above Asus Zenfone 10 and Honor Magic VS, while also scoring below the Honor Magic 5 Pro and Xperia 1 Mark V. In 3D Mark, Wildlife Extreme, we're actually placed quite low, so the GPU is not potent. It's more in the vein of a OnePlus Nord 3 or S22 Plus, rather than the Galaxy S23 Ultra, Vivo X90 Pro, or even the X80 Pro, and also the Huawei P60 Pro. So it's top 15 material or top 20 at best. When it comes to the temperature, I don't have many complaints. 35.9 degrees Celsius in benchmarks, and also 33.5 degrees in, well, games. So yeah, there's not much overheating going on here, luckily. When it comes to the battery, we have a 5050 mAh unit, which is welcome. It's quite big. It charges at 30 watts and also charges wirelessly at 23 watts. You can also juice up other devices wirelessly by placing them on the back of the phone. Now, when it comes to the actual tests we did, there's the video playback here, which is quite impressive with 19 hours and 43 minutes. The Pixel 7 Pro had 14 hours. We surpassed Huawei P60 Pro and Xiaomi 13 Ultra. We're below the OnePlus 11 and the Galaxy S23 Ultra. This is the continuous usage shown via PC Mark. It's okay, not a record breaker, but just okay. 12 hours and 31 minutes. It surpasses the Pixel 7 Pro by something like 1 hour, and also surpasses the OnePlus 11. It's below the Galaxy S23 Ultra and the Honor Magic 5 Pro. Charging is a bit long, 1 hour and 2 minutes, but at least after 30 minutes you're good to go with 61% charge. There's no charger in the box, by the way, we had to buy a separate one. Speakers wise, there's one at the bottom and one at the top, the earpiece, so we're going to enjoy some tunes and draw some conclusions. Okay, so it's musical test time. Okay, so it may sound satisfying, but I expected a bit more volume and a bit extra bass. The bottom speaker is doing all the heavy lifting, the top one is only with the mids and highs. By the way, good mids and highs and satisfying voices. Actually played tunes with much more bass and expected once again more bass from it. We have some decibel thingies here. So when it comes to volume power, we have 74.7 decibels at the top and 78.9 decibels at the bottom using our typical acoustic sample test. The bottom result means we surpassed the Samsung Galaxy A34 and Galaxy S23 Ultra. We scored below the Pixel 7 Pro and OnePlus 11. In gaming we fared a bit better, but still no record, 97.2 decibels. Above Galaxy S23 Ultra, above Xiaomi 13 Pro, below OnePlus 11 and below Vivo X90 Pro. And finally, we can talk shop. We can talk about the cameras. The selfie one is basically similar to the one from last year. It's a 10.5 megapixel camera. The one last year had 10.8 megapixel, Pixel 7 Pro. It has HDR, autofocus, auto HDR, 4K 60 frames per second, and then we go to the back. Triple camera setup, you can already see the periscope camera, similar to the one from last year. It's a 40 megapixel shooter telephoto periscope 5x optical zoom with focus and optical image stabilization. The main camera is a 50 megapixel shooter with f1.7 aperture, dual pixel phase detection autofocus, optical image stabilization, and something called multi-zone laser autofocus. Finally, we're jumping from a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera on the predecessor to a 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera with dual pixel focus, which is basically a way of taking macros with the ultra-wide cam. Dual LED dual tone flash here. This is a temperature sensor, not involved in photos, but rather in, well, temperature measurement. There's 10-bit HDR and a lot of features like action, panning, long exposure, portrait, night sight, and more. I won't insist too much on them. I actually detailed them too much, the features of the camera and UI, in the unboxing, so be sure to check that out on our channel. Now we go to the gallery. We have a lot, and I do mean a lot, of shots here, so some things to clarify first. My impression is that we're dealing with a camera which is superior to the iPhone 15 Pro one. I'm an iPhone 15 Pro owner and I'm about to return it, if I'm being completely honest. So we're going to talk about daytime shots first, so let's start. Okay, so this is a regular shot. And this is a bunch of ultra-wide shots, which should show you that we have plenty of detail here, and the ultra-wide camera doesn't change colors compared to the main one, so that's something to remember. The sky looks beautiful, there's no doubt in that regard, and the colors in general were very satisfying. But let's start with the beginning, because the photos were taken first and foremost here in a park, with beautiful fall colors. Realistic colors, nothing overblown, nothing exaggerated, and the zoom, I would say it's on par with what the iPhone 15 Pro has to offer, Vivo X80 Pro and other landmarks in the area. Lovely sky and realistic sky, so regular shot and ultra wide shot, maybe not as wide as the Samsung S23 Ultra one, but definitely quite satisfying. One of the biggest advantages of the camera is the selfie shooter with a huge amount of texture details. You can see the pores, the skin pores. You can actually do. Lovely detail and texture and expressive eyes, and the colors were spot on. So basically, finally the Samsung phones have a rival. They usually have the best selfie cameras around, the S23s, S22s, and the bokeh is correctly applied. Perhaps even better than the iPhone, although that's a pretty tall order. Okay, so of course, everything isn't exactly perfect. The ultra-wide camera may keep the colors just as impressive as the main one. Main, ultra-wide. But however, on the edges, you're going to see some degradation of details if you really look closely. Not as bad as a 12 megapixel or 8 megapixel camera, but still, if you look at the leaves here, the details are not as impressive as you expect them. A thing I like here, and it's superior to the S23 Ultra and iPhone 15 Pro, is how close you can get to subjects and how accurate the focus is once you get really close, and I do mean it. Focusing on such leaves in the wind is troublesome most times. Not with this phone. So the focus is excellent in both the front camera and the back camera. And here are some roses which many phones would struggle with when it comes to focusing so close, even flagships. And by the way, the colors were kept in check because usually such roses are overblown. Okay, I've talked about selfies and how satisfying they are. They truly are. And quite generous angle, by the way. And this is the bokeh with the back camera. Equally satisfying when it comes to highlighting the subject, and maybe even a slight DSLR value, reminding me of the Mate 50 Pro from Huawei. Focusing on objects which dangle in mid-air is a challenge. We did that here with zero problems. And also blurring the background in a natural fashion. So yeah, a lot of scenarios for this phone, and all of them made it shine. The texture of the leaves is spot on, and I have zero complaints about the colors. The palette is wide and nothing is too exaggerated, too warm or too cool. Once again, the focus is top notch. I'm actually struggling to find an instance where the camera did not deliver, because it keeps delivering again and again in focus, clarity, portrait, details, selfie, and so much more. I promised you the colors of the fall. Here they are. This is pure autumn, rusty and yellow. Although I'll say it again, when it comes to the details on the sides, Samsung is faring better with the S23 Ultra. Okay, so that's pretty much it, and these are some zoomed shots of trees, showing you what it can do at 5x zoom, equally impressive as the Vivo X80 Pro. Okay, so these have been the daytime photos. We also have nighttime photos, which are honestly amazing. This is it. If you're a tourist, this may just be the phone for you. It's a very honest camera, which doesn't overblow the lights, doesn't cause any problems, and even the zoom is satisfying, as you can see for yourself here. So, no weird reflections, no overblown lights, no strange yellow hues, everything is kept in check. Well, every now and then the street lights will be a bit, let's say, increased in size when you're using ultra-wide, but only those in the distance, and even that's not a major problem. So, when it comes to low light, top 5 material, maybe even top 3. With the zoom being the highlight and maybe also the focus. So we've talked about photos. This fits right between the iPhone 15 Pro above it and below the Galaxy S23 Ultra by a small margin. When it comes to videos, I'm going to rely on VLC, and I have a lot of vids. I'm going to start with the weakest link, which is honestly the selfie video. I mean, not weak in itself, but you can definitely tell that the image behind me is inferior in quality. I'm talking about the fact that it's slightly noisy and not very detailed, what's behind me. My face is pretty fine, it's good enough for vlogging, but I feel that Samsung does a better job at this. Okay, when it comes to panning, I'm pretty much impressed with what you achieve here. And by the way, beware, we have 10-bit HDR, so yeah. There's no ghosting when panning, there's no problem with moving objects, the sky looks superb, I'm loving the colors, and the change of exposure when the panning around. So zero problems with details and colors. I also tried out the blur, not very impressed by it. We're more iPhone level than Galaxy S level. The Galaxy S has perfected the art of blur. My ear here is blurred, for example, and it shouldn't be. And the iPhone also struggles with that, although it's become better over the past years. I was also fascinated by the panning feature. You can see the leaves falling dramatically here. So I had to play with the panning for a bit. And you can also see that happening here, towards the end mostly, as I gently panned towards the top and waited for the leaves to fall. So that's the dramatic effect of a pan, and then we have the the focus test, which is this one here. Excellent focus speed, excellent clarity of the water. I'm coming off a few tests of mid-range phones, and this is a breath of fresh air seeing such detailed water, feeling like a video game of sorts. And I've done 3 stabilization tests. So this is test number 1, 4K, standard stabilization, and honestly the best one. I'm descending stairs in quite a rapid pace, and I'm happy with the result. Test number 2 is this one. It's actually zoomed in and locked. It's supposed to focus on a target. You're following someone, let's say, and it's slightly blurry and a bit annoying. You're going to have to calculate everything because you're zoomed in at 2x or 5x. And then there's this one, which is a bit weird. This is only full HD. It compensates for your motions, but it drops quite a few details, and it's rather wobbly. It's a special type of stabilization, the active one. Yes, it looks better, but the details are a bit wobbly when it comes to the distance, and it drops details. Believe it or not, I was actually underwhelmed by the low light capture for some reason. Here we are. I mean, it looks cool on this screen and all, but on my desktop, not that impressive. A bit dark, some extra reflections. The street lights were a bit big for my taste. I mean, stabilization is fine, but somehow I expected better. I don't know why. Overall, I was so blown away by the way the Pixel 7 Pro filmed last year. I'm actually tempted to say that the Pixel 7 Pro films better than the Pixel 8 Pro. I'm just tempted, I'm not saying it, just tempted. Okay, enough with the camera, let's talk connectivity. Now, as far as connectivity is concerned, we have it all covered, and I'm talking about 5G. It actually works in Europe, where it had problems in some countries. USB-C 3.2 port at the bottom side, Bluetooth 5.3, there's NFC, GPS dual band, and of course VoWiFi and VoLTE, they also work. The calls are pretty loud and clear, and as far as speed test is concerned, we have it here, and the results are excellent. When it comes to 5G, we achieved 470 megapsecond in download, 433 megapsecond in upload, and on Wi-Fi 771 megapsecond in download, and at the same time we scored 774 megapsecond in upload. So yeah, these are the 4 actual results you can see here: 771, 774, which are Wi-Fi. Okay, so it's time to discuss the OS and UI. Android 14 doesn't bring huge changes compared to the interface of Android 13, so there's that. Now, there are some changes. For example, when it comes to the lock screen, you have multiple styles for the, well, clock and things like that, and fonts, which is something inspired by iOS 17, I guess. The fingerprint scanner is embedded in the screens of the optical variety, and it's here, but I'm also using the front camera for an unlock. We have a brand new temperature sensor here below the flash, you can see it here, and a dedicated app for it. It can take the temperature of objects. This table is 23 degrees Celsius, and my skin is 28.4. You should also point out that there are these templates to use to improve the precision of the measurement. Fahrenheit is also available. Okay, so you're getting 5 years of Android updates, 7 years of security updates, and once again, not a big UI change. You're going to notice that in the notification shade, you'll see some of the apps which are working in the background and doing stuff. And at the same time, you have a call screening feature, which is not available in Eastern Europe, where I'm at right now. But we do have translation. So there's live caption for videos. Your texts will be translated in real time. And there's also the interpreter and the Google Lens, of course. So interpreter works something like this. Interpreter. How are you?
Comment vas-tu?
What's the weather like?
Quel temps fait-il?
Where's Notre Dame?
Où est Notre-Dame?
And that's how the real-time interpreter works. So if you're in a foreign country, you're going to find it easier to go around. Okay, so yeah, and also in Chrome, for example, you're going to be able to sum up an article using bullet points, but you can also do live translation if you want to using Google Assistant. Translate this. It can detect the language, select all, listen, share, or actually use the info it sees in the article and play it out loud as an audio, very fast, by the way. You saw that in the unboxing. Okay, so there's also this in the recent section. You can do something called select. Can press this here and highlight the text and also translate it and work with it. And just one example, you can also sum up an article, summary it, but that's not available in my country. Another novelty in Android 14, aside from support for lossless audio on wire, it doesn't support Lollipop Android apps anymore, and it does come with a pretty overpowered editor. I'm talking about a photo editor. So yeah, if you take a photo with people in it, you can actually erase them from the photo. So if you go here to the edit, you have a lot of options: dynamic, enhance, warm, cool, crop tools, tools itself, adjust, filters, markup. But the most interesting one is this one, tools and magic eraser. I showed it in the unboxing, I'm going to show it right now in case you haven't seen it. So there are some people in the corner of the image and the photo of a child on this toy here, and I can get rid of them as the AI processes the image. Once again, customization happens in the lock screen with clocks, styles, and shortcuts and so forth. Okay, so here it is. The magic eraser will delete these people as I just press them. So if you're taking a photo with your loved one and other people barge in, yeah, this kid can also be eliminated from the image, and that's just one example of the power of the AI. I can also erase stuff just by doing this, and the object is gone. I can also get rid of this object here. So yeah, that's how it all works, and a lot of overpowered tools are fine. Speaking of AI things, you can go here, press here, wallpaper and style. You can also extract colors from it, but you can also do something else. You can also use generative AI for your wallpapers, wallpaper and style, home screen and lock screen, more wallpapers, AI wallpapers. So this is much like DALL-E and ChatGPT, so it uses words to create images. These are the inputs you're going to give it: azaleas, buds, muted natural hues, green, marigolds, create wallpaper. The problem is that most time it doesn't work. That's the main gripe I have with it. On paper it sounds fine, but in reality it gives a lot of errors, so that's a bummer. Okay, there's also call screening, as I said before, and I would say that's pretty much it as far as the features are concerned. We're going to find more in the text review, and I think it's time for the verdict concerning this phone. And don't forget our website, gsm.com, so I'm going to leave it here just so you know. Okay, so when it comes to the pros and cons, on the pro side, you have an excellent battery life, solid build of the phone, and I should probably also mention the very bright screen. The phone has a lot of personality thanks to the visor camera. Okay, high notes for the speakers, great pictures and videos taken with the main cam, excellent zoom, portrait and bokehs were fine with the main camera and the back camera, colors and focus were spot on. We have lots of AI tools and features to welcome, 5 years of updates, and 5G, Wi-Fi and VoLTE finally work. Those are the pros. On the cons, well, there's no charger in the box, the charge is a bit slow, the body is still pretty massive if you have small hands, there's throttling, the CPU isn't a very high performing one if you're totally honest. It needs more bass speaker-wise. The night video was a bit underwhelming, and the selfie video, well, it wasn't very detailed when it comes to the background. And I would have to say that some of the features which are available in other countries aren't available in all countries. I'm talking about the smart ones like call screening and bullet points in Chrome. In the end, this is a very solid rival for the iPhone 15 Pro. I would actually prefer it over the iPhone 15 Pro if it weren't for the CPU, but at least it doesn't overheat like the iPhone 15 Pro. The camera is superior to the Apple rival, or better said to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, because they have similar size and similar zoom, and there's all the AI stuff. And I would say that it's useful for tourists and people who want to make their phone more customized. In the end, it's a tourist's phone and for people who don't game a lot. If you want a flagship with a very solid camera, the battle happens this year between this one, Galaxy S23 Ultra, maybe OnePlus 11, maybe not the iPhone 15 Pro as much as some people would have liked it to be. So yeah, its biggest rival right now, the Pixel 8 Pro's biggest rival, is the Galaxy S23 Ultra, which is superior in zoom and processing power. So make of that what you will. This has been the review of the Google Pixel 8 Pro. Hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.